Hello, everybody. Jim Messina is my name for Vintage Drums Talk, and it's time for another studio interview about vintage drums, the thing I like the most in the whole wide world. And I've got a very special guest here who always comes through for me from California. Say hello to one of the top vintage drum collectors, Mike CUROTTO. Hello, Mike. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know,
Good.
I've been waiting for it tonight because, you know, we had this scheduled for a while, and I just always like talking to you. And, you know, guys, we just also came off the show. You know, Mike was at the Chicago shoot, too. The last thing you saw was with Joe Luoma. Well, Mike was there, of course, and we had a fantastic time. Mike, I want to thank you for doing some spots with me there and the interviews we did, and I hope you had as much fun as I did.
I'll do it anytime. I have a ball. I look forward to the Chicago show. It's one of the highlights of the year.
It's the granddaddy.
So I'm there anytime you need me.
Yeah, well, you always has been very supportive of what we do here, and I thank you really for making my job so much fun, because I get to talk to guys like you and other top pros, you know, in the whole vintage collecting world, and it's just a thrill for me. And this year especially, I tell you, we got to do those interviews. You know, folks, if you didn't know, we tried something new at the Chicago show this year. We did interviews from the cafe area there. We had a whole setup. Rob Cook was great about setting us up with equipment, and Mike participated along with all the other top collectors, and we had just a great time. And I'm looking forward to it at this year's coming up show. Are you excited, Mike?
Oh, I'm ready. Yep, it's going to be fun. The 25th anniversary.
25 years of the show. Wow.
Yeah, and I hear it's going to be an extra day. I hear it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, because that just means more interviews and more coverage. And it deserves that too. I think it deserves the time.
Can't wait.
So, I remember at the show. Now, we already did our little segment there, but it's kind of different when I'm in the studio. You know, at the show, there's a lot of noise. There's a big vibe going on there, and we do little short vignettes from inside the big room. And Mike and I talked about a very interesting drum, and you've already saw that video we put out. But now that we're here in the studio in a kind of intimate setting, we can talk a little more about this great Leedy drum that Mike found at the show. It was later in the show. What's the story? Where'd you get that drum? What booth did you get that at, Mike?
The Drugan's drums, brothers.
Drugan's drums, okay.
Yeah.
How did that go down, really? I mean, you alluded to it at the show, but I knew that you bought that late in the show, didn't you?
Yeah, probably. I think I bought it Sunday. It was kind of just sitting on the shelf there. I'd been looking at it and kind of just studying it, seeing what I would have to do to get it up and running.
Yeah.
And so I made an offer on Sunday, and he came back with a counter, and we came up with a deal, and I got the drum.
You know, it surprises me. You know, because I was doing the interviews, I didn't really get to walk around a lot and see everything at the booths. But a drum like that, right up my alley. You know, if I was in a buy-in mode and all that, I would have probably had to have done something about that right away. I got to ask you, you know, everybody knows your reputation as far as being, you know, a very successful vintage snare drum collector, basically, but also as a deal maker. You know, you come up with some fantastic deals, and everybody has always wondered how you do that, and we've talked about that before. But how can you sit there for, what, a whole day, all day Saturday, while that drum is sitting there wondering, hey, is anybody else looking at that? Has anybody else talked to him about it? And that takes some real discipline.
Well, I had a couple other deals going, so that's why.
Okay.
If there's nothing else was going, I had 3 or 4 other deals that I was working. So, if that wasn't the case, I probably would have made the offer earlier. But But
See,
now everything worked out. I got the other drums, and I said
oh,
there's one
you
drum I
did
didn't
get, you
but
got the
that's
other
another
ones.
story.
Ah, see, I didn't know that. I thought you just got, I'm thinking, wait, Mike only got one drum this year?
Really?
What did you get? What else did you get?
I got a 5x14 nickel over brass Radio King.
Nice. Where'd that come from?
Anzalone's booth.
Ah, I know this. I spoke with him this year.
Yeah.
What a great guy, and I'm looking forward to talking to him next year. What a Slingerland layout there. He's got a million Slingerland snares. So okay, you worked that out with him. That's a good snare. What else did you get?
And let me think here. I think I don't remember.
See, this is what it's like with Mike CUROTTO, you guys. He's got so many in his collection that he's got to just, I can't remember.
Yeah, but that Leedy drum.
Oh yeah,
the one on Sunday had some cool little things about it.
I like those levers that we were looking at.
Yeah, and it's a Broadway dual, so it's, top and bottom mechanism, and usually on those drums, I'm putting it around 1930. Because it has the box lugs, but looks like the first generation. Dual mechanism, top and bottom,
right? Where
it pulls out from the drum, not sideways.
Yeah.
And usually they have those spoons. We call them spoons.
Yeah.
The extension lever spoons.
Mm-hmm.
And this one had paddles. I mean, they're almost heart-shaped paddles. Stamped Leedy, Indianapolis. And
yes.
One says snare and one says mute. And I think the mute meant for the top and the snare for the bottom part. And just one of those, I looked through catalogs, couldn't find anything. Bill Wanser couldn't find any reference. Mark Cooper couldn't find any reference. So it's maybe just one of those weird one-off special order, or maybe it could have been aftermarket, although the Leedy stamp on it looks Leedy. So
right. When I saw those, I thought, these are really cool, but you're right. I also have never seen any reference in any catalog to that type of Leedy lever, yet it was clearly Leedy. I was just really impressed with that, and I hope we run across another example of that just to so it'll show that these were actually made and just not in a catalog.
Yeah, in all my articles, I always leave it. Anybody that that has something like that or wants to chime in, weigh in on it. I always like to hear extra information.
I'll tell you, with those articles that you write, and you post them regularly on the forum.
I write a column for Not So Modern Drummer every month, my drums, and then I also post stuff on the forums, and then I send you stuff.
Yeah. And your presence is really becoming wide on VintageDrumstock.com. Mike has 6 pages. Really, why don't you guys go to Vintage Drumstock and look at his stuff. It's great. If you haven't seen these articles that he does, they're very complete. Pictures are great. Good photography. I love them, and I thank you, Mike, for sending those to me. I just love it. But
anytime.
Speaking of your usage of those articles to look for more knowledge about certain pieces, you'll ask. I've heard you ask forum members for help.
Sure.
And I understand that there was one situation here where somebody came in, a forum member actually saved the day on a pretty rare piece. I'm talking about a Wilson drum here, you guys. I just picked one up, and Mike, how many months ago was this that you submitted one to the Vintage Drumstock, a Wilson snare drum, and I'm going to let Mike tell you about that particular drum.
It's over. I think it's over a year ago.
Yeah, it's been up there for a while.
Yeah, and boy, let me think. It's I think it had gold hardware.
Yes, it did. It was white, kind of like white enamel or whatever. But and with gold hardware. But this particular drum, getting back to kind of the 3-way idea here, but it's a 3-way strainer, not 3-way tuning, such as we spoke of with Joe Luoma when we were talking about Billy Gladstone and the Hoskins drum. Go look up that video. It's a great one. But Mike, I think it was missing. Well, the Wilson drum has what, a 3-way strainer?
Well, it says three-way on the bottom there near the butt plate, but I'm not sure if it's three-way tuning. It didn't look like it. It looked like oh boy, like it had like a thumb screw on the bottom that locked, so you could tighten the top.
Okay.
The top. It's something. It was.
I'm putting a picture of that up right now. I'm not sure if that. I've never actually seen one, but it looks like you would flip the lever and maybe move it to the left and it would stay, or move it to the right and stay. And I'm not sure.
Or maybe in the middle too. Yeah, it could be. Like the trick strainer. We had that three stage thing. Where you can put it really tight or kind of a little bit loose and then really wet.
Yeah, yeah.
That could have been. I'm looking at it in my photos here just to be able to be on the same
yeah.
page.
Now the one that I got, of course, that strainer is missing, but it does have the plate that says three-way, and it says Wilson Brothers Chicago on it. And I have to hunt that down. So guys, if you're out there and you got one of those, I'm looking for one. But it's an interesting drum. Yours is different than mine, though. Yours has. Yeah. I'm not sure if yours has the three-way strainer like I'm looking for. I'm not quite sure, but it's just I don't know enough about them. But it's such an interesting drum, and it's made as well as any other drum from pre-1920. Now I'm not sure if was yours a wood shell or was it a metal shell?
Yeah, it's like white lacquer.
Yes. Yeah. And the one I have here it's a metal shell with a bead and pretty heavy brass. And I'm just really hoping that maybe you can look through your stash. Maybe you'll have a three-way strainer in there. I don't know, but I know you.
Yeah, I might. The part that was missing. If you're looking at the photos I'm looking at, it's like at the bottom, the second from the left on the bottom, right in the middle. That's where the plate was. So the strainer on the left.
Yeah.
Was missing, and that plate is on the bottom rim. So really, I was just missing the lever and the spring and the whole little piece there. And my friend Stefan Traversi up in I think around Mill Valley, San Rafael, he had one. And so what I had to do though, he had a nickel over brass one. So I had my guys at Avenue Plating, gold plated and kind of they love it there. I bring them and I tell them leave the age in it.
Right.
So they just clean it, and they just gold plated to match.
Yeah, I know what you mean because I have dabbled myself now in my restorations. I'm learning to actually do plating myself, and it's coming in very handy for what I have to do for small parts. And I know what you mean about the coloring and trying to leave age. I managed to do that with that lavender fancher model, the tone flange fancher model that I got.
Oh, yeah.
That's one example where I was successful with it. But I know what you mean. Those guys are very good because I've seen so many examples of your stuff, earlier and after the restoration where they're magicians over there. They're without knowing it, they're kind of getting Adrian Kirschler like, except he's an actual drummer and knows why he's making what he's making and has that fever like we do. Your guys they're just doing their job as metal workers and platers and doing what you tell them to do.
Right.
Very interesting.
It's kind of funny because Brian and Les, they know when they got to do something for me to leave the age in it, but their father, who's been in the business for 50 years, is there, and he's always asking, "You want me to polish it and make it brand new looking?" I said, "No, don't do that." Talk to Brian and Les. They know, leave the age because the work they do for custom houses and just stuff, it's all perfect looking. It's brand new and perfect looking. But for 90-year-old drums, you got to leave the age in it.
There's a lot of decisions to be made when you're doing restorations, and I'm sure you've run across this as to whether to leave something maybe a little rusty, or is there something that says I gotta do something? You know what I mean?
I'm kind of that way.
Well, I think it's we're the caretakers of these drums, and they belong to us for now. but they're going to move on in history. They're going to have to, and we want to preserve them and keep the vibe to them is what I try to do.
Yep.
If you were to take something, make it too bright and just have it not match the rest of it, it does take it down a notch.
Sure.
But everybody does have their own opinion, I think.
There's the purists, that say
Right.
you should just, leave the drum like you got it. And
Yeah.
I'm in the middle. I'll fix it up and clean it.
Uh-huh.
There's an old saying my friend told me. Rust doesn't sleep.
Your motto. Yes, you've said that before on this show.
Right. Right. And I'm looking at my page here on your site.
Yes.
I don't know if you're looking at the same thing. The drum right below that is a 5x15 Ludwig 12-point floral deluxe Super Ludwig. And if you look at the pictures, you'll see the hardware. The hardware I got on the drum is all green.
Yes.
You're not going to leave that stuff like that. You got to clean it up.
Yeah. When it's like
luckily,
that.
the hardware was green. I cleaned it up, got all the old lacquer, and it actually was enough copper left that I was able to just polish the original copper, and you see the end product there. But if you're going to leave stuff green like that, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
So there's some spots where I really feel you got to clean stuff up. I won't replate a whole drum, but if there's a collar hook that I need, I'm gonna replate it and age it and have it match the drum.
Yeah. That's really something because that's one aspect of the restoration. And as you mentioned, parts, look, we're talking about this Wilson drum, trying to find, that's a rare part. Now, a lot of guys might say, well, what's with the Wilson brothers drum? They're into Ludwig and Ludwig, rare Slingerlands, Leedies, and then we come up with this Wilson name. Well, I think you either had a phase or you still believe this, where you went through a period of being interested in drums that almost pre-1920s, a lot of collectors call them wall hangers, but I know what you mean now with this Wilson drum. I was even wondering myself, where's Mike going? He's, these are like wall hangers, but they're very good ones,
Yeah. I collect. I have a lot. Not a lot. I have maybe 40 or so, 50 of these.
Not a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
These, 1900s, duplexes with the 24 lugs and this Wilson drum. But I buy them if they're missing parts. I usually pass. Yeah. Because
those are hard.
It's impossible to find some of those parts.
Well, you found the three-way strainer.
Right,
I mean,
right.
And I must admit that's kind of obscure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll leave it to Mike CUROTTO. He comes up with one. Sheesh.
And
that's your reputation. That's why you're where you're at. You dig out that stuff. You find the rare things, and Mike CUROTTO comes up with them. So for the moment, I'm going to have to leave it right there just because of time constraints. But Mike, always a pleasure to talk with you. And I know we're going to do this a little bit more. I want to thank you for always contributing to what I do here, and I'm sure the vintage drum community appreciates it too.
I'm having a ball.
Okay.
I'm still on the honeymoon. I've been collecting for 19 years, and I'm still on the honeymoon. It's fun.
Yeah, as long as you're still enjoying it. So, guys, you can enjoy this. This is what it's all about. Remember, vintage drum collecting can be expensive, but you can still have fun on a lower level too. It's the vibe that goes along with it. Once you get bitten by the bug, you're all over. Mike CUROTTO, thank you so much for being here. Let's pick it up again, okay?
My pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.